tyranny, but I do know there's not like the delicious taste of Tetley to bring folk together. There you go, lad. No. Well, that's better. That's Tetley.
Winter's over. Time to spring into life.
Sometimes people are capable of things we never imagined.
The faces you know. The drama you love. And a whole lot more for you to discover.
If no one ever pushed the limits, the rest of us wouldn't know what they are.
Turn up the heat with 5 USA.
Evening, you're on Channel 5, where your final Aussie soap break of the week kicks off with Neighbours in half an hour. First, here's Friday's top stories with Emma Crosby. It's 5 o'clock.
On 5 News, more horror for the Hillsborough families. Claims offensive messages are put on a website about the disaster using government computers.
That is an absolute insult, not to the 96, but an insult to their families who are fighting.
Also, a father's tears as his wife appears in court charged with murdering 3 of their children. A mum's emotional plea to NHS bosses over her anorexic daughter. How healthy is your street? Why you're now just a click away from finding out. And his royal cuteness. We look at how Prince George stole the show on his first royal tour. Welcome to 5 News. I'm Emma Crosby. An urgent investigation is underway into claims that someone used government computers to post offensive messages about the Hillsborough disaster. A Liverpool newspaper says a series of insulting posts about those who died were made from within Whitehall. As Peter Cardwell reports, the revelations come at an already difficult time for the victims' families.
96 faces captured in happy times before the disaster at a football match which ended their lives. But more pain for families when it was revealed a Wikipedia webpage detailing the tragedy had been tampered with. It's thought offensive comments were added to the online encyclopedia using computers based in government offices. The messages are too offensive to broadcast. For these families giving evidence at the inquest into their relatives' deaths, it was another blow.
It's very, very sad, actually, to think, these individuals and where we've been fighting for all of these years to get to this stage. And then all of a sudden, on the 20th anniversary, 5 years ago, that was going on a computer in a government office. Now, we don't know who that was, obviously, could be one person, could be 2, could be 3, I don't know. But whoever they are, I think there's got to be an investigation, a thorough investigation into this.
It's claimed the changes to the page on the 20th anniversary of the tragedy, and again in 2012, came from computers within these buildings. It's not known who did it. An investigation is underway.
Well, if it's correct, it's utterly appalling, repugnant and disgraceful, and of course there's an investigation going on by the Cabinet Office at the moment to get to the bottom of this and find out what has really happened.
Here in Liverpool, the reporter who broke the story says it's tough for families to take in as the inquest goes on.
Their instant reaction was just a combination of absolute shock and just disappointment, extreme disappointment. And the timing with the inquests, it couldn't be worse, really.
And from Oliver's readers in Liverpool, anger and confusion.
It's absolutely appalling, disgraceful and disgusting, and I think anybody who's had anything to do with it should be sacked.
It's disgusting that people that have lost their lives tragically, that it's still being brought up in a bad vein. Things are just about to come to light with justice, and that's all we're fighting for, really. Cities become united through it all, and one day justice will be served.
The victims have gone through enough without all this coming on now.
Urgent inquiries are now being made into who made the posts online as the government tries to find out the detail of yet another slur on the victims of Hillsborough. Peter Cardwell, 5 News.
A mother has been remanded in custody after appearing in court today, charged with killing 3 of her children. With her husband sitting close by, Tanya Clarence cried as she was accused of murdering 3-year-old twins Ben and Max and their 4-year-old daughter Olivier. Dominic Reynolds reports.
Tanya Clarence has been in police custody since Tuesday night, when the bodies of 3 of her young children were found in her home. She was kept out of sight of the cameras as she arrived at Wimbledon Magistrates Court to face the charge that she murdered them.
Tanya Clarence only had to speak to confirm her name, her address and her date of birth. But even that didn't look easy. She started to cry as she saw her husband Gary enter the courtroom. He sat with relatives and struggled to hold back tears himself as he heard the charges read out against his wife.
Gary is pictured here with twin boys Max and Ben, who were 3. Their 4-year-old sister Olivia was also killed. All 3 had a degenerative disease which limited their mobility and would have been expected to limit their lives to only a few years. The tributes to them have built up at their home over the past 3 days. The family moved into this £2 million house in southwest London less than a year ago. Gary Clarence is a director at an investment bank. The couple are South African, and it's thought he was in South Africa with the couple's eldest daughter when the 3 children died. He didn't say anything when he left court this morning. He's pictured here in the darker suit. His wife will appear at the Old Bailey in 2 weeks' time. Their children's post-mortem results are expected next week. Dominic Reynolds, 5 News.
The Prime Minister says sanctions against Russia will be stepped up after it's refused to support a new international agreement. David Cameron held a conference call with the US President Barack Obama and other world leaders on the issue today. A government spokesman says that Russia has failed to live up to the Ukraine peace accord and will now impose costs on the country. The Royal Bank of Scotland has been forced to abandon plans to pay massive bonuses to some of its staff. RBS had wanted to offer bonuses worth twice the size of salaries, but the Treasury says that will be blocked. And investigations are continuing into a teacher who's now known to have sexually abused dozens of boys at a school in London. American Peter Fahey carried out the assaults up until last year. He killed himself last month. Now, with the Scottish independence debate heating up, Ed Miliband has been having his say on why Scots should say no. The Labour leader is worried that Labour voters want to break away in order to avoid the possibility of another Conservative government. But he's told 5 News his party will win the next general election and that he'd do more for Britain's workers. From Glasgow, our political editor Andy Bell reports.
The old industrial heart of Glasgow, a place where the joke was you didn't count the Labour votes, you weighed them. But things have changed on Clydeside, and the old loyalties are changing too. Today, Ed Miliband was in Glasgow, hosting his shadow cabinet at the city's indoor athletics stadium. He told me any government he leads will deliver what Scottish Labour voters want.
I want to say to the people of Scotland, we're just one Christmas away from delivering a Labour government next May. That's what I believe we can do, getting the Tories out from Westminster and changing Scotland and changing the United Kingdom. And you don't need to change your passport to do that, you need to change the government, and I believe we can do that.
Both sides agree there's one crucial group of voters who could decide the result in the referendum. Urban, working-class voters, traditional Labour voters, you might say. Well, how will they vote in September? This is a working men's club. We've come to ask that question. Over a birthday lunchtime drink, these friends and regulars, for the most part, were unconvinced by the call for independence.
As of now, I just think they're 30 years too late trying this, you know. Probably it'd have been better when they discovered North Sea oil, etc. You know, we might have had a better chance to say, well, look, this is your chance to go.
Labour and for together.
To stay in the UK?
Yes. I think it's going to cost too much money to split.
I'd vote for independence.
And how would you normally vote in a sort of general election?
Usually vote Labour, to be honest.
So Labour, a unionist party, but...
No, but Labour's not done anything really in the last couple of years. They can off there a wee bit, so I think they can do anything wrong, voting independence, give it a go, man.
In bars and clubs around Scotland, the issue is being chewed over, and it's voters like these who will make the final decision. Andy Bell, 5 News, Glasgow.
So, Andy, it's clear that Labour voters could have a vital say on this referendum on independence.
Yes, Emma, the main unionist parties clearly have different levels of strength in Scotland. The old joke is that there are more pandas in Edinburgh Zoo than there are Scottish Conservative MPs, for instance. And the Liberal Democrats, they also do have some presence, but it's clearly Labour who are the people who potentially could deliver votes for that referendum in September. And that choice in September, well, it's starting to get a bit closer. There was a poll over the weekend, for instance, which put the Yes for Independence campaign at just 3 percentage points behind, and there are thought to be something like 900,000 voters who are still undecided in Scotland. Often they're categorised as these urban working class voters, the sort of people who in the past might have owed their loyalty to the Labour Party, and therefore it is that sense that if Labour can deliver those votes for the unionist camp, that might make all the difference in the referendum.
OK, Andy, thanks very much. Still to come on the programme tonight. Why where you live can make a difference to your chance of getting sick. And why gorgeous George looked a little bit fed up as he left Australia. All that and plenty more after this short break.
Why don't you go ahead and enlighten me a little bit? Bring me up to speed.
Okay, let me take a stab at this.
Sounds like a plan.
Killer. Bang! Smash! Bits of emotion flying everywhere. The sky is falling!
From the moments you love
That was spectacular!
to the ones you've yet to discover. All in the one place.
Any questions?
Great movies every Sunday on Channel 5.
For our new brochure, just call or visit haven.com. Haven, Britain's favourite seaside holiday.
Up to 50% off selected outdoor living at isme.com.
Save money on your car insurance and feel epic. You are So Money Supermarket.
There are very few ways to infiltrate a militia.
You have no idea what you're up against.
This time,
I'm here to talk.
What is he doing?
We need backup now.
they're in deep.
Shut it down.
I'll take care of it, Harry. I promise.
Some promises you can't keep.
NCIS Los Angeles, 10 o'clock tonight on Channel 5.
Welcome back. You're watching 5 News. A mum whose anorexic daughter hasn't eaten for over a year has pleaded with NHS bosses not to stop treating her. 24-year-old Emma Duffy has been battling with the eating disorder since she was a child. Over the years, she's been repeatedly sectioned under the Mental Health Act and has tried to take her own life several times. Now, according to her mum Beverly, doctors have recommended that she's treated at home and no longer in hospital. If that happens, Beverly says Emma won't have the care that she needs to survive. Charlotte Grant has the story.
She's a little star, you know, always aiming to please, always wanted to please people. From her being very small, Emma always wanted to be a nurse. You know, that was her dream. But unfortunately, the illness has stopped all this.
Beneath Emma Duffy's smiles, there is an eating disorder slowly killing her. For the past 16 years, all her and her family have known is her anorexia.
She's down a deep black hole where she can see no light at the end of the tunnel. I don't show my emotions very easily, so I'm the one that'll shut the door behind me at night and just bawl, literally cry my eyes out. But I don't want anyone else to see that.
Emma's family are now so desperate for help they've released these pictures. For 6 months Emma's been in hospital. She's tried to kill herself 9 times. Her family believes she needs constant supervision, but the hospital now want to discharge her. There is a private clinic that can help, but Emma's been refused NHS funding to go there. Now her family are waiting to hear when Emma will be discharged from hospital.
Because we know that if they discharge her, we know that that'll be it. That'll be the end of Emma Duffy. She'll just end it all.
And how does that make you feel, knowing that that's a possibility?
As a mum, hopeless, helpless, and in desperate need of help for my daughter.
The family are thankful for the treatment Emma's had so far, but believe the clinic is the best place for her. Her sisters now set up a website to try to raise the money themselves.
After doing this, I thought, you know, the NHS would just fund it, because I thought she can't really get any worse. So surely they've got to fund it, but they didn't, so this is like the only option I had, really.
The local NHS trust said in a statement, "We are sorry the family has concerns about their daughter's care. We have spoken with them on a number of occasions, but would encourage them to get in touch again to discuss any further concerns with us."
It's an incredibly complex illness and it does need specialist help. And I think it's because it's increasing, there will be less beds available as years go on as well.
Does she want help?
Yes. Yes. She's screamed for help, you know, but she feels as though there's nobody there to give it to her. She sits, she's so thin, but she sits with her knees under her chin and she's wrapped her arms round her knees and she'll say, "Look, Mum, what's the point?" And this is her exact words, "What's the point, Mum? Nobody can help me, nobody can do anything."
That was the mum, Beverly, of Emma Duffy speaking to Charlotte Grant a little while ago. Well, on News Talk Live tonight at 6:30, we're going to be looking at the issue of caring for people who have anorexia. And we'd like to know what you think about this difficult subject. Do you think enough is being done in this country? Well, do get in touch. Our email address is stories@channel5.com. On Facebook, you can find us at C5 News. And on Twitter, it's @5_news on the screen there. And if you'd like advice about eating disorders, then do log on to our website at channel5.com/news, and there is plenty of information there for you. In other news today, UKIP has been forced to defend themselves again following embarrassing comments from one of their members. It's emerged that David Chalice described Greek people as vile. They also took out a local newspaper advert saying women should stay at home and that cash-strapped Muslims should have multiple wives. UKIP says some of his comments have raised legitimate concerns, while others were meant as a joke. Now, without wishing to alarm you, could you be living in a skin cancer hotspot, or are people in your area more prone to getting heart disease? Well, a new online map of England and Wales allows you to find out just that. Researchers have plotted a link between parts of the country and their risks of certain diseases. So Ruth Liptrot has been taking a look at the fascinating findings.
Until now, the job of a map has been to tell us where we are, not how we are. But this new Health Atlas of England and Wales shows a link between where we live and the risk of certain types of disease. The risk of skin cancer, for example, is highest in the southwest of England. In Cheshire and Merseyside, there's a dense cluster of liver cancer incidents, while in South Wales, there's a bigger risk of coronary heart disease. And to find out what your area's like, all you have to do is search the map with your postcode.
I'm from London, which has one of the lower disease rates nationally, but the point of the atlas is to map and describe the geographical variability in disease so that we can better understand why these differences are happening, and that in turn will help us toward prevention.
The map's based on 25 years of medical data, but at this stage its purpose is to ask questions rather than draw conclusions. For example, it also highlights areas of the country that are most polluted by nitrogen dioxide. They're the areas in dark brown. But it doesn't tell us what impact that might have. Of course, what we all want to know is how this affects us.
So if I'm from Wigan, which is in the northwest, where lung cancer is more common, does that mean that I'm more likely to get lung cancer?
Not necessarily. I'm originally from the northeast of England, where lung cancer cases are also a little bit higher. I think what we need to look at with regards to this and other conditions are the other factors that may be involved. For example, whether you're a smoker, whether you do exercise, how your diet is. I think it's important to look at this map and look at the data and take these factors into account and apply those to you as an individual.
The map then is as much about the why as it is about the where. So if you're in a high-risk area, don't think about moving house. Think instead about changing your lifestyle. Ruth Liptrot, 5 News.
Good advice there from Ruth. But if you'd like to know more about your area where you live, you'll find more information and links on our website. The address, well, you should know it by now, is channel5.com/news. Ryan Giggs has held his first news conference since becoming Manchester United's stand-in manager today. He took over earlier this week after the sacking of David Moyes. The conference didn't begin that well, though, when he was introduced by the name of his old boss.
OK, so Dave...
Once he finally got underway, he said he'd taken on his dream job and revealed he was already enjoying the perks of being in charge.
I've just given myself a 5-year contract. Yeah, I'm using my power while I can.
Giggs takes charge of his first game tomorrow. We'll have to see how he gets on. The Duke and Duchess of Cambridge have honoured Australia's war dead on the final day of their tour Down Under. To mark what's known as Anzac Day, the couple attended a public remembrance service in the capital, Canberra. They laid a wreath in front of the Australian War Memorial, and they also pinned poppies on the Roll of Honour. Well, the couple have clearly won the hearts of the people down under, and there's a very big reason for that. It's their little boy. Prince George may have made only a few public appearances, but he took to his first royal tour like a natural in nappies. So as they fly back home today, our royal correspondent Simon Vigar reports now on the baby who stole the show.
Gorgeous George and his royal cuteness are just 2 of the nicknames from his first royal tour. Prince George tolerated another airport lineup today, this time in Canberra, and only let out the odd cry. Translated, I'm pretty sure that means, "Hurry up, Mum, I've had enough." By now, George must be convinced he has a lifetime of this ahead of him. Rewind 3 weeks, and this was the arrival in New Zealand, Kate carefully holding him facing forward so the world could see the third in line to the throne. There was a little jig before his royal crawlabout at a playdate in Wellington. "Be gentle," said Mum, but the other parents said there's no doubt who was in charge.
Yeah, he was his own little man. He took control, went into the middle of the circle of toys. He hunted out the biggest toy, propped himself up, and yeah, he owned the place basically.
Week 2 and they were on to Australia. George's public appearances were few and far between, but his day at Taronga Zoo in Sydney was worth waiting for. There was a kiss from Dad, and Son was clearly excited to see his namesake, George the Bilby. "Did you like that?" said Kate, and it was obvious George's excitement was infectious. He was less impressed with the cuddly toy Bilby, but you can't win them all.
Given there are thousands and thousands of people out
The visit to Sydney, like everywhere George went, was big news.
Yeah, he's gorgeous. I think at the moment there's a sweet little baby, and everyone's got images of 1983 when Charles and Diana came here, and they brought with them William as a baby, so there's no doubt a baby changes it.
His last appearance was today on the tarmac at Canberra. That's it. After 19 days and 51 official engagements, the royal tour Down Under is over. Up the steps for a final wave, and that was that. A successful tour full of colour and fun for William and Kate, but the most important ingredient was the smallest. Gorgeous George stole the show. Simon Vigar, 5 News, Canberra.
He certainly is very gorgeous. Well, that's it for now. I'll see you for News Talk Live at 6:30. Bye for now.
Velvet Tissue sponsors the weather.
Hi, I'm Sian Welby. Well, what a way to end the working week, and I'm afraid to say it really doesn't improve as we head towards the weekend, staying very wet and very windy with low pressure in charge. You can see this evening lots of heavy and persistent rain across the country, with Northern Ireland the driest and clearest. Through the night, another batch of rain will push in from the southwest, bringing with it fairly gusty winds once again. So tomorrow morning, quite a lot of rain about, drier and brighter out towards northern and eastern parts of England and out towards East Anglia. As we head through the day, though, it will cloud over for most parts. Again, lots of scattered heavy showers with some of the better brightness up towards northern parts of Scotland.
Velvet Tissue sponsors the weather.
The faces you know, the drama you love, and a whole lot more for you to discover. Turn up the heat with 5 USA.
When you own something, you care a little more. Everyone who works at Waitrose owns Waitrose.
John and James always eat on the go, causing John indigestion and James heartburn. Sometimes it's the other way round, or both, so they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes in 3 minutes and lasts up to 2 times longer than antacids. Get dual relief from heartburn and indigestion. Use Gaviscon Double Action.
At Giacomo, men's style is understood. You want a rematch? We've got the gear that matches you perfectly. Plus, all the latest looks to keep you looking good this summer in sizes small to 5XL. You want the summer heat? We have the cool shirts you'll feel comfortable in. With big name brands in sizes exclusive to Giacomo and 10% off your first order right now, why wait? For the book, call 0800 980 1180 or go to giacomo.co.uk.
Get super fast fibre optic broadband in the big BT Spring Deal. BT Infinity is up to 5 times faster than the average speed of standard UK broadband. It's so good, 85% of BT Infinity customers don't think they'll ever go back. Right now, you can get BT Infinity Extra at the big BT Spring Deal price of £8 a month for the first 6 months, then £16 a month. And you'll enjoy free BT Sport that you can watch online or on the Sky Digital satellite platform. So get BT Infinity Extra with free BT Sport for £8 a month for the first 6 months. Don't miss the big BT Spring Deal. Call today on 0800 500 282.
Hi, we're looking for home insurance.
Home insurance, eh? You want to see Glyn, the house whisperer. Some say the houses took him in and raised him as their own. Glyn built a special bond between man and home. He'll help protect the house inside and out. Big or small, he'll tame them.
And how do you know this?
Because I am a friend of Glyn's. For the cover your home deserves, visit Go Compare.
Lucy uses E45 lotion, while Becky uses a different moisturiser. That's because Lucy knows it has all the goodness of E45, but in a light daily lotion. Lots of women feel like Lucy, with 88% of over 4,000 preferring it to their current moisturiser. E45 lotion makes all the difference.
Life and mess go hand in hand with kids around. So grab Dettol Power and Pure. There's one for messy bathrooms and one for tough kitchen jobs. And with no harsh chemical residue, you can use it with confidence around your family. Dettol Power and Pure kitchen spray and bathroom spray.
When you're up against time, working together is faster. So when you have a headache, Nurofen Express has a unique formula with a boost from sodium for quick absorption to give faster relief than paracetamol. Helping you get back to what matters most. Nurofen, for lives bigger than pain.
So what's Marilyn's decision? Find out in Home and Away at 6. Before that on Channel 5, we're off to Ramsey Street, where efforts to impress Toadie don't go unnoticed.
Hey, D, you fancy popping over to mine? I've got a bottle of Aldi Pinot Grigio.
Have you got any of those sea salt and black pepper crisps?
Nah, but I've got some nuts.
Oh, I can see 'em.